Trust is built one truth at a time, and it is destroyed one lie at a time. Most people imagine betrayal as something dramatic. They picture a shocking confession or a life-changing secret coming to light. But betrayal rarely begins with something that big. It often starts with something so small that it seems harmless. A little excuse that does not sound convincing. A story that changes every time it is told. A promise that quietly disappears without explanation. These moments may appear insignificant, but they reveal something much deeper. They reveal a person who has become comfortable with dishonesty. Someone who lies constantly does not simply bend the truth once in a while. They make deception a habit. They choose convenience over honesty and comfort over accountability. They become skilled at saying exactly what people want to hear instead of what is real. At first, you may not notice it because they can be charming and confident. They speak with certainty, and they know how to make their stories believable. That is why people often trust them long before they discover the truth. The danger of constant lying is not only that you are being misled. The real danger is that your ability to trust begins to disappear. Every conversation becomes a question. Every promise becomes uncertain. Every explanation feels incomplete. You start wondering whether the words you hear are genuine or simply another carefully crafted story. Living in that kind of uncertainty is emotionally exhausting because trust should bring peace, not confusion. Many people ignore the first signs because they believe everyone deserves another chance. They tell themselves that it was only one mistake. They assume the person was under pressure or afraid. Compassion is a beautiful quality, but wisdom reminds us to pay attention to repeated behavior. A single lie may come from fear. Constant lying comes from character. When someone repeatedly chooses deception over truth, they are showing you the values that guide their decisions. Small lies create dangerous habits because every successful lie makes the next one easier to tell. The person begins to believe they can escape consequences simply by creating another story. Eventually, one lie requires another to protect it, and then another after that. Before long, they become trapped in a world where honesty feels impossible because the truth would expose everything they have hidden. What began as something small grows into something much larger, and the damage spreads to everyone around them. Imagine building a house on a weak foundation. From the outside, it may look beautiful. The walls are painted, the windows shine, everything appears strong. But underneath the surface, cracks are growing. One day, the structure begins to collapse because the foundation could not support it. Relationships work the same way. Honesty is the foundation. Without it, even the strongest friendship or partnership will eventually fall apart, no matter how beautiful it looks from the outside. People who lie constantly often become experts at manipulating emotions. When confronted, they may deny obvious facts. They may blame someone else. They may even make you question your own memory. Instead of accepting responsibility, they shift attention away from themselves. This creates confusion and emotional stress for the people who care about them. You begin apologizing for asking reasonable questions while they continue avoiding honest answers. No healthy relationship can survive in an environment where truth is treated like an inconvenience. The most heartbreaking part is that lies rarely hurt only once. They continue causing pain long after they are discovered. Even if the person finally tells the truth, the memory of every previous lie remains. Trust is difficult to rebuild because every future conversation carries the weight of past deception. The listener cannot simply forget what happened. Doubt becomes part of every interaction and confidence slowly disappears. Honest people are not perfect. They make mistakes. They forget things. They sometimes fail. The difference is that they admit their failures instead of hiding behind excuses. They understand that temporary embarrassment is far less damaging than permanent dishonesty. They know that truth may be uncomfortable in the moment, but it creates respect that lasts for years. Integrity is not measured by never making mistakes. It is measured by having the courage to tell the truth, even when the truth is difficult. Your peace is too valuable to place in the hands of someone who treats honesty as optional. You deserve relationships where words and actions match, where promises have meaning, and where trust grows stronger with time instead of weaker. When someone repeatedly lies, believe the pattern instead of the apology. Small lies are never just small lies, because they are often the first warning that a much greater betrayal is waiting just beyond the horizon. You are interested in what you could do for them. There is a huge difference between being valued as a person and being valued as a resource. Genuine friends appreciate your presence. They enjoy your company. They care about your happiness even when they gain nothing in return. But people who only show up when they need something see relationships as transactions. They appear when they need advice, money, connections, support, or favors, and disappear the moment their needs are met. First, this kind of relationship can be difficult to recognize, because these people often know exactly how to make you feel important. They call you when they need encouragement. They send kind messages when they are facing a problem. They remind you how much they appreciate you just before asking for another favor. Their timing feels almost perfect until you notice a pattern. They are always available when they need help, but strangely unavailable when you need someone to stand beside you. Their silence speaks louder than their words. Healthy relationships are built on mutual care. Both people give and both people receive. Sometimes one person carries more of the burden because life is challenging, and that is completely normal. Friendship is not about keeping score. It is about showing up for one another. The problem begins when only one person is always giving while the other is always taking. Over time, the relationship becomes emotionally exhausting because it is no longer built on love or respect. It is built on convenience. Many kind people fall into this trap because they have generous hearts. They enjoy helping others. They feel fulfilled when they can make someone's life easier. There is nothing wrong with generosity. In fact, generosity is one of the most beautiful qualities a person can possess. But generosity without boundaries often attracts people who are looking for someone to use rather than someone to love. The more you give, the more they expect, until your kindness becomes something they feel entitled to instead of grateful for. Pay attention to how people respond when you can no longer offer what they want. If your value disappears the moment your usefulness ends, then the relationship was never about friendship. It was about benefit. Real friends remain close during seasons when you have nothing to offer except your presence. They do not measure your worth by your success, your influence, your money, or your ability to solve their problems. They value you because of who you are, not because of what you can provide. There are people who remember your phone number only when they need a recommendation. They visit only when they need a favor. They compliment you only before asking for help. They promise to stay connected, but disappear as soon as their situation improves. Months may pass without a single conversation until another request suddenly appears. It becomes obvious that your existence enters their thoughts only when they need something that benefits them. That realization can be deeply disappointing because you believe the relationship meant more than it actually did. The hardest part is that people like this often make you feel guilty for saying no. They may remind you of everything you have shared together. They may question your loyalty or kindness simply because you finally decided to protect your own energy. But true friendship never demands endless sacrifice from one person, while the other contributes almost nothing. Respect includes understanding that everyone has limits and healthy relationships. Honor those limits without resentment. Your time is valuable. Your energy is valuable. Your emotional strength is valuable. Every time you pour these gifts into someone who only sees you as useful, you have less to invest in people who genuinely care about you. Imagine watering a plant that never grows while ignoring the garden that is ready to bloom. Eventually, you realize that your effort belongs where it is appreciated rather than exploited. The people who truly belong in your life celebrate your victories without expecting rewards. They comfort you during difficult moments without asking what they will receive in return. They check on you simply because they care. They remember important moments in your life because your happiness matters to them. Their loyalty does not depend on your ability to solve their problems. Their friendship remains steady through success, failure, joy, and hardship because it is rooted in genuine affection rather than personal gain. Never confuse frequent requests with genuine connection. Never mistake dependence for loyalty. Someone can need you every day without truly caring about you. At the same time, someone who genuinely loves you may ask for very little because they respect your time and your responsibilities. Learn to notice the difference between those who reach out because they value your heart and those who reach out only because they value your usefulness. The people who deserve a place in your life will still be there when you have nothing left to give except your authentic self. And that is the kind of friendship worth protecting for a lifetime. Depend on me. Every promise carries a piece of trust, because when someone gives you their word, they are asking you to believe in their integrity. A person who keeps their promises builds confidence and security in every relationship they have. But a person who repeatedly breaks their promises slowly destroys the very foundation that trust is built upon. It is not always one major disappointment that changes everything. More often, it is a series of broken commitments that gradually teaches you that their words no longer have value. Many people are gifted with beautiful language. They know exactly what to say at the right moment. They make impressive promises that fill others with hope. They promise they will always be there. They promise they will change. They promise they will support you. They promise they will never let you down. Listening to these words can be comforting because everyone wants to believe in the best version of another person. But words without consistent action are nothing more than empty sounds. A promise means very little if it is never followed by effort. One broken promise can happen to anyone. Life is unpredictable. Emergencies arise. Circumstances change. Honest people sometimes fail to keep a commitment because situations beyond their control interfere with their plans. The difference is that they acknowledge what happened. They apologize sincerely. They take responsibility and they work hard to make things right. They understand that trust is valuable and they do everything possible to protect it. Someone who repeatedly breaks promises without concern sends a very different message. They show that your expectations, your feelings, and your time are simply not important enough for them to honor their word. Repeated disappointment changes people in quiet ways. At first, you wait with hope, believing this time will be different. Then you begin lowering your expectations to avoid getting hurt again. Eventually, you stop believing anything they say because experience has taught you that their promises are unreliable. This is how trust slowly disappears. It does not vanish overnight. It fades with every missed commitment, every forgotten responsibility, and every excuse that replaces accountability. There is a powerful truth that many people learn too late. Character is not revealed by intentions. Character is revealed by consistency. Almost everyone has good intentions. Many people dream about becoming better friends, better partners, better parents, or better leaders. But intentions alone never change reality. Only repeated action creates trust. A person who consistently follows through on their commitments demonstrates reliability even without making grand promises. Their actions speak long before their words ever need to. Some people become experts at making excuses. Every broken promise comes with another explanation. They were too busy. They forgot. Something unexpected happened. Someone else was responsible. Over time, the excuses become more predictable than the promises themselves. While everyone encounters unexpected challenges, responsible people find ways to communicate honestly and respect the people they may disappoint. Excuses are easy. Accountability requires courage. Imagine climbing a bridge suspended over a deep valley. Every wooden plank represents a promise. Each time someone keeps their word, another strong plank is added beneath your feet, making the bridge safer and stronger. But every broken promise removes another plank. Eventually, the bridge becomes unstable. You may still want to cross, but fear replaces confidence because you no longer know if the next step will hold your weight. Relationships function in much the same way. Trust depends on the strength of repeated reliability. It is important to remember that people always make time for what they truly value. They may not always succeed perfectly, but their effort becomes visible. When someone consistently breaks promises while expecting endless understanding, they are revealing their priorities. Their actions tell you where you truly stand in their life. This truth can be painful because it forces you to stop listening to comforting words and start observing undeniable behavior. Many people remain trapped in unhealthy relationships because they continue believing promises about the future instead of paying attention to patterns from the past. They convince themselves that tomorrow will finally bring change. Weeks become months, months become years, yet nothing truly changes because words alone cannot transform character. Growth is demonstrated through consistent action repeated over time, not through repeated declarations that improvement is coming someday. The people who deserve your trust understand that every promise carries responsibility. They think carefully before making commitments because they know their reputation depends upon their reliability. They would rather promise less and deliver more than promise everything and deliver nothing. Their honesty creates peace because you never have to wonder whether they will follow through. You know they will do everything within their power to honor their word. Never allow beautiful promises to blind you to repeated behavior. Listen to what people say, but place even greater attention on what they consistently do. Actions never need to argue for credibility because they prove themselves through results. When someone's words and actions match, trust naturally grows. When they repeatedly move in opposite directions, disappointment becomes inevitable. In the end, people reveal who they truly are, not through the promises they make, but through the promises they choose to keep. Their actions tell the story that their words can never hide, and that story is always the one you should believe. A person may act supportive in front of you while feeling discomfort when you succeed. This kind of behavior slowly weakens trust because you begin to sense that their happiness is not genuine. Real support feels warm and steady. Fake support feels heavy and uncertain. People who celebrate your failures reveal something important about their inner character. They may pretend to care about you, but their reactions during your difficult moments tell a different story. Instead of offering comfort, they feel a hidden satisfaction when you struggle. Your setback becomes their silent relief. This type of energy is dangerous because it turns your pain into their entertainment. A healthy relationship should never make you feel small when you are already hurting. On the other side, there are those who envy your success. They may not openly show their jealousy at first. They might even congratulate you, but deep inside, they feel discomfort when you grow. Your achievements remind them of their own insecurity. Instead of being inspired by your progress, they begin to distance themselves or find reasons to criticize your journey. Over time, their hidden envy becomes visible through their behavior. Jealousy destroys trust because it creates emotional distance. When someone cannot genuinely be happy for your success, you begin to feel unsafe sharing your victories with them. You start hiding your achievements to avoid tension. You begin to downplay your progress just to keep the peace. The silence slowly builds a wall between two people who were once close. Trust cannot survive in an environment where honesty feels risky. True relationships are built on mutual encouragement. When one person succeeds, the other should feel proud, not threatened. Success is not a limited resource. One person's growth does not reduce another person's potential. But jealous individuals often see life as a competition. They compare themselves constantly and measure their worth against others. This mindset prevents them from celebrating anyone else's progress because they feel left behind. When failure happens, jealous people often reveal their true feelings without realizing it. Instead of empathy, there is distance. Instead of comfort, there is silence. Instead of encouragement, there may even be subtle satisfaction. This reaction is deeply painful because it shows that your struggles are not safe in their presence. A trustworthy person stands closer when you fall. A jealous person often steps back. Success also exposes hidden envy in subtle ways. Some people change their tone. Some become less available. Some start making small negative comments disguised as advice. They may question your decisions or minimize your achievements. These behaviors are not always obvious at first, but they create confusion over time. You begin to wonder why your happiness seems to irritate someone who claims to care about you. Living around jealousy is emotionally draining because you constantly feel watched instead of supported. You cannot fully relax in your achievements because you anticipate negative reactions. You cannot fully process your failures because you feel judged instead of understood. This emotional imbalance weakens confidence and affects mental peace. Healthy relationships allow space for both success and failure. They do not change based on your circumstances. A supportive person remains steady whether you are winning or struggling. They understand that life has ups and downs, and they stand beside you in both situations. Their loyalty is not influenced by comparison or competition. It is rooted in genuine care. It is important to recognize that jealousy is often more harmful to the person who feels it than to the one who receives it. However, its impact on relationships is undeniable. It slowly erodes honesty. It replaces joy with insecurity. It turns connection into tension. When trust begins to feel unsafe, emotional distance becomes unavoidable. You deserve relationships where your success is celebrated with pride and your failures are met with compassion. You deserve people who clap for your growth instead of quietly hoping for your downfall. You deserve a circle where happiness is shared, not competed for. When you surround yourself with those who genuinely value your journey, trust becomes natural and relationships become peaceful again. Gossip is one of the most underestimated forms of toxic behavior in human relationships. At first, it may sound harmless. It can even feel entertaining when someone shares stories about other people's lives. But behind this habit lies a deeper problem that slowly damages trust, respect, and emotional safety. A person who constantly gossips about others is revealing a pattern of behavior that eventually affects everyone around them. Because if someone is comfortable speaking about others behind their backs, there is no reason to believe they will not do the same to you when you are not present. People who gossip often present themselves as friendly and open. They may appear easy to talk to and enjoyable to be around. They seem to know everything about everyone, and at first, this can feel like connection or social awareness. But over time, you begin to notice a pattern. Every conversation about someone else contains criticism, judgment, or exaggerated details. Rarely is anything shared with genuine respect or understanding. Instead, information is twisted to make others look flawed or entertaining. This creates an environment where truth becomes less important than storytelling. The real danger of gossip is not just what is said about others. It is what it reveals about the speaker. When a person repeatedly discusses people who are not present, they are showing that they lack boundaries. They are showing that private conversations are not safe in their presence. Today, they may be talking about a friend, a colleague, or a family member. Tomorrow, they may be discussing you in the same way. Trust cannot grow in an environment where loyalty is selective and temporary. People who gossip often justify their behavior by claiming they are just sharing information or expressing concern. But genuine concern focuses on solutions, not spreading details. Healthy communication respects privacy and dignity. Gossip, on the other hand, thrives on exaggeration and emotional reaction. It turns private matters into public entertainment. Over time, this habit normalizes disrespect. What once felt wrong begins to feel acceptable simply because it happens often. Another important effect of gossip is the creation of silent fear in relationships. When you are around someone who gossips frequently, you begin to monitor your own words and actions more carefully. You wonder what they might say about you when you are not there. You start holding back personal information because you are unsure where it might end up. This constant caution prevents relationships from becoming truly open and honest. Instead of trust, there is hesitation. Instead of comfort, there is awareness of risk. A person's loyalty is not measured by how they speak to you directly. It is measured by how they speak about others when those people are not present. Someone who respects others in their absence is someone who understands the value of integrity. They do not use private information as entertainment. They do not spread stories to gain attention or approval. Their communication remains consistent whether the person is standing in front of them or not. Gossip also damages the person who practices it. It trains the mind to focus on negativity instead of understanding. It builds habits of judgment instead of empathy. Over time, it becomes easier to see flaws in others than to recognize strengths. This mindset does not stay limited to outsiders. It eventually affects all relationships, including the ones that matter most. A person who constantly criticizes others will eventually struggle to build deep and meaningful connections, because trust requires emotional safety, not fear of being talked about later. In contrast, trustworthy individuals speak carefully. They understand that words have consequences. They avoid discussing private matters that do not involve them. If they have concerns, they address them directly with respect, instead of spreading them indirectly through conversations with others. This kind of behavior builds strong relationships, because people feel safe in their presence. They know their dignity will not be compromised when they are not around. It is also important to recognize that listening to gossip is just as impactful as sharing it. When someone repeatedly engages in conversations that revolve around judging others, they become part of the cycle. Silence or participation both send a message. Over time, this environment shapes how people treat each other. What is tolerated becomes normalized, and what is normalized becomes culture. Healthy relationships are built on respect, not speculation. They are built on direct communication, not hidden conversations. They are built on trust, not fear of judgment behind closed doors. When people consistently speak kindly about others, even in their absence, it reflects inner integrity. It shows that they value honesty more than entertainment and respect more than attention. In the end, gossip reveals far more about the speaker than the subject. It exposes how they handle trust, loyalty, and respect. And once you recognize this pattern, it becomes clear that someone who cannot protect the dignity of others will rarely protect yours. Choosing to distance yourself from gossip-driven behavior is not just about avoiding negativity. It is about protecting your peace, your reputation, and your emotional safety in relationships that are meant to bring stability, not uncertainty. In the end, understanding the types of people you should be careful with is not about becoming suspicious of everyone around you. It is about developing awareness so you can protect your peace, your energy, and your emotional well-being. Life becomes lighter when you stop ignoring repeated patterns and start paying attention to consistent behavior. Because people do not change their true nature through words, they reveal it through time. Trust is one of the most valuable parts of any relationship, and once it is broken, it is never the same again. That is why it must be given with wisdom, not blind hope. When you recognize people who lie repeatedly, break promises, envy your success, celebrate your failures, use you only when needed, or gossip about others, you are not being negative. You are being aware. Awareness is what protects you from unnecessary pain and repeated disappointment. Every experience with the wrong people teaches an important lesson. Some teach you what love should not look like. Some teach you what loyalty must never feel like. And some teach you how important boundaries are in shaping a peaceful life. These lessons are not meant to make you cold or distant. They are meant to make you wise enough to choose better, and strong enough to walk away when something no longer respects your worth. The goal is not to close your heart, but to open it to the right people. The people who are consistent, honest, supportive, and genuine. The people who stand beside you not only when life is easy, but also when it becomes difficult. The people whose actions match their words, and whose presence brings peace instead of confusion. When you begin to choose relationships based on truth, instead of appearance, your life changes in powerful ways. You stop chasing validation from people who were never meant to value you. You stop wasting energy on those who only come when it benefits them. And you create space for real connections that are built on trust, respect, and sincerity. In the end, the quality of your life is deeply connected to the quality of people you allow into it. Choose wisely, observe carefully, and never ignore what repeated behavior is trying to teach you. Because peace is not found in having many people around you, but in having the right ones beside you.